Hi there, welcome to Architect Interview Question Series from Knowledge Powerhouse. Let's go on to see our next question. Question is, what are the different types of load balancers? So, in system design, in architecture, we have different load balancers. So, how would you pick which load balancer to use and what are the different types of them? So, in general, there are many kinds of load balancers, and you can find it like software based, hardware based, with different kind of algorithms. So mainly the difference comes from the load balancing algorithm. So the kind of load balancing algorithm each load balancer uses, that differentiates one from the another type. So what are the popular types of load balancers? It's like round robin, least connections, hash, least time, IP hash, and random with two choices. Let's go on to understand each of these in detail. Round robin. This is the simplest load balancing algorithm in which the requests are distributed across the group of servers in a sequence. So round robin is a pretty old mechanism where like everybody gets a turn. Let's say there are three load balancers in this example, and there are three clients that are coming. So load balancer is one and the servers are three. So when clients come, then load balancer will send requests first to first server, second to second server, third to third server. But in this, what happens is that sometimes some requests are heavier than the other requests, right? So, or like some server is already loaded. So, load is not correctly balanced. So, we assume that we are giving one request to each, but in reality, some servers might be more loaded than others because the request type that they got may be heavy. Another load balancer type is least connections. Here, a new request is sent to the server that have the fewest current connections to the clients. So in this way, the relative computing capacity of each server is factored into determining which one has the least connection. So if some server is less loaded, only to that server the load like this request will be sent. So basically, as we saw in round robin, we are not looking at the code load, but now we are even looking at the load or the compute capacity, what is left with the server to determine the which server has to get the new request. Then another type is hash. So in hash, the load balancer will distribute the request based on some kind of a key that is received from the client. So that key can be based on IP address, it can be based on URL, it can be based on some kind of a customer ID, it can be based on some kind of a like region. So this is like a predefined key that we use, and based on that, load is balanced and like distributed across different servers. So this is also a good algorithm because it tries to make sure that load is going to the right machine. Then we have least time. This is the algorithm which is pretty much specific to Nginx. So in Nginx, this support is provided and requests are sent to the server selected by a formula. And this formula you can have like fastest response time and the least number of active connections to determine the server. So you can have like different combinations of this formula, and in which least time can be calculated, and based on that, the server who is likely to give fastest response, that is a server that gets the request. This is another type. Then we have IP hash. So IP hash is again similar to hash, but in this case, the hash is only of IP address. So client address has a IP address. That IP address is going through a hash algorithm, and based on that, we select which server should get the request. And another like type that we are covering here is random with two choices. This is also a very good choice where we first select two servers at random. Okay, so we have some kind of a random algorithm to pick two servers, and then out of those two servers, we say what is the least connections algorithm. So based on that, we know this server is least loaded, and then to that server we send the traffic. So these are the primarily types of load balancers that we covered. And Depending on like different kind of scenarios, we go for them. So let's again recap. So load balancer types are round robin, least connections, hash, least time, IB hash, and random with two choices. All right, so that's all from my side on this topic. And if you have still any questions or you have any comments or feedback, do share it in the comments and we'll be happy to answer it for you. Thank you, folks, and have a great day.